Using CBD oil for anxiety? Miracle cure or hype? Stay tuned and find out. My name is Douglas Block. I'm an author and depression survivor. Welcome once again to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. Well, today's title of the video is CBD oil for anxiety, miracle cure or hype? Well, before we find out, of course, we have to tell our joke. And I was going to do one that I thought was pretty good, but Jerry, my videographer, liked this particular one. So this is for all you history buffs out there. What do they call a history book about cars? An autobiography. We both like that. All right, so let's go to our subject here, which is anxiety. And a while ago, I don't know, maybe a year or so, I did a publication of a video called Which is Worst, Depression or Anxiety? Oh my God. I mean, they're both horrible, aren't they? But a lot of you chose anxiety, and I can see why, because when you're anxious, severely anxious over time, you become disabled, you can't do your regular routines, you can't go out, meet with friends, work, and pretty soon you're not accomplishing anything, and that can be very depressing. And so anxiety often turns into depression. However, unlike depression, where you can have antidepressants, which you can take for a long period of time, those of you for whom they work, anxiety medications known as benzodiazepines are habit forming, or can be, and you can create dependence with them. So as a result, many psychiatrists these days are reluctant to prescribe them. Thus, I became intrigued when some of my group members told me that they were using something called CBD oil to bring down their anxiety. I thought, well, this is interesting. So before I talk about my take on it, I just wanted to give some basic definitions of what it is. So CBD oil is a natural compound found in both the marijuana and hemp plants. And because it contains less than 0.3% of THC, which is the psychoactive component of marijuana, you can't get high from it. So unlike smoking pot, when you take CBD oil, you don't feel anything. Now, the story behind CBD oil is quite interesting. It burst on the national scene in 2013. There was a 6-year-old girl named Charlotte Fiji who lived in Colorado, and she suffered from a rare form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. And she was having multiple seizures, in fact, 300 grand mal seizures a week. It was eating up her brain. The parents were desperate. Nobody knew what to do. And then someone suggested using marijuana. And because medical marijuana was legal in Colorado at the time, they found a grower and they got a strain that was very high in CBD oil and very low in THC. And they gave it to the girl. The doctors were quite skeptical, but sure enough, the seizures stopped, first for an hour, then for a week. And pretty soon the girl was healed. So now I think she's 11. She maybe only has 2 or 3 seizures a week, and most of them in her sleep. So this strain of marijuana, CBD, was called Charlotte's Web, and it's now famous. And there's a bunch of brothers in Colorado, 6 of them, who have developed a foundation where they give this away to people who need it. It's a wonderful thing they're doing because, you know, in a lot of places, people can't afford it. So good for Charlotte, and good for humanity that this substance was discovered. The next question we're going to cover is, how do you take CBD oil? Well, it's taken by mouth, and it comes in many, many forms. When I took it, it was a tincture, but you can also use pills, chewable gels, vape cartridges, cream on your skin, and foods like chocolate. That's how marijuana is often delivered too. Remember, marijuana brownies? Anyway, the amount and quality of CBD oil in these products can vary greatly. So the next question I want to address is CBD oil addictive? Well, no, not pure CBD, but many of the products also have THC in them. As a matter of fact, in the research I've done talking to the pharmacies in Oregon and Washington, they tell me that a ratio of 9 parts CBD to 1 part THC is very helpful, because the THC potentiates or increases the power of the CBD oil. Now, if you're taking something like that and there's THC, you might be affected. So the key is to know what you're taking and what percentage of CBD to THC it is. But if you're just taking pure CBD oil derived from the hemp, no addictive properties, and again, no psychoactive properties. So the next question that comes up is, what conditions can CBD oil treat? Now, if you remember, it became famous, or became used initially because it helped this girl with the seizure syndrome called Rett syndrome, epilepsy, and sure enough, it's been researched there. Also, for pain, my brother takes it for pain, inflammation, believe it or not, psychosis, and also it helps people supposedly break the addiction to cigarettes and drugs like heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, because it relaxes the muscles and gets people in a less anxious state. So people are investigating CBD oil for a variety of conditions. Nothing definitive has come yet, but I do know people who do take it for pain, and a nurse I know who's quite involved in the alternative care industry here in Oregon says that a lot of her patients take it for pain. Okay, so now we finally get to the topic of the video, or the main topic, which is CBD oil and anxiety. Now, when I first heard about this connection, I thought to myself, well, this makes sense because CBD oil is an anti-seizure medication, as we saw in the case of Charlotte. And Klonopin, which is a benzo that I used to take, it essentially saved my life, even one of my episodes, is also an anti-seizure medication. So Klonopin, an anti-seizure medication, helps with anxiety. CBD oil, an anti-seizure medication, should help with anxiety. Well, here's a testimonial from one of my group members who first turned me on to it. She said, I've been using CBD oil orally for a year now. I've been experiencing quite a lot of anxiety due to stressors in my life. I was having a hard time sleeping. I started to take a dropper full at bedtime and again if needed when I woke up too early in the morning. The CBD oil greatly reduced my anxiety and had a nice side effect or side benefit of reducing joint pain as well. I have never felt groggy in the morning after taking it. I highly recommend CBD oil. This is one person I obviously work for. Now I want to bring up my particular case. So in June of 2017, last year, visiting my brother in New York, who unfortunately has chronic pain. By the way, for any of you out there who are dealing with pain, I'm going to be doing a video on depression and chronic pain because, as you imagine, that's a really bad combination. Anyway, he was prescribed, in New York, medical marijuana is legal, so he was prescribed this by his physician. And he ordered this stuff on the internet, but it had a strawberry taste. He didn't like the taste. It was $180. I said, wow, that's a lot of money. He said, no, you take it. I'll get a different flavor. So I took it home back to Oregon. And one night I woke up late in the morning, or 4 in the morning, as I often do, with, anxious rumination. My heart was beating rather rapidly. And normally I just lie down there and breathe and try to calm myself down. But this time I reached for the dropper, put it under my tongue, took about 2 drops, and I started to notice that my heart rate went down, slowed down. And as my heart rate slowed down, I felt more relaxed and my muscles were less tense. And within about 10 minutes, I was back to sleep. So it really took the edge off the anxiety and got me back to sleep a lot quicker than I would have had if I hadn't had it. So fortunately, I haven't had very many of those awakenings, but when I do, I have the oil by my bedside to use in case it happens. Finally, I talked with a worker at a local pharmacy here in Portland, a medical marijuana pharmacy, and he mentioned to me that he's been using CBD oil to replace Xanax, the anti-anxiety drug. He says at night it helps him breathe more easily, relax the muscles of his chest, and as he breathes deeply, he can relax more and go to sleep. He also said that some of his customers have used it to minimize the brain zaps that come when you come off antidepressants, and also that they have used CBD oil to minimize the withdrawal symptoms when people take opiates after an operation. So it obviously has many, many uses. So now comes the $64,000 question: is how do you obtain CBD oil? Well, first, the good news. If it just is derived from the hemp plant and has no THC, as was the case with my group member, you can get it in any state in the country, U.S., except for Idaho, Nebraska, and South Dakota. And they ban all marijuana, even products coming from the hemp plant, which I said were not psychoactive. So most of us can get CBD oil over the internet or in various other places. However, if the CBD oil has some THC in it, I mentioned that the THC helps to make it more effective, then you can only get it in states where medical marijuana is illegal, which I think is only 4 or 5 states. So you're much more limited then. But still, the hemp-derived CBD oil can be effective, and you're much more likely to get that. So in conclusion, the purpose of this video was to describe my research in looking at the CBD oil as a treatment for anxiety and also for pain, and I found that many people do use it effectively. Now, this doesn't mean you should run out and get it, or I'm advocating you do it. You should probably check with your prescriber or your doctor to make sure it's not going to adversely interact with any medications you've been taking. However, I did call the pharmacy right before I shot this, and they said what they tell their customers, as long as you don't take the CBD at the same time that you're taking your other drugs, maybe wait 2-3 hours, then there shouldn't be a problem. But again, the final authority is your physician. Well, this has been Douglas Block. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gained something from it. If you did so, give it a like or leave your comment in the comments section. As always, you can email me, douglasblock@gmail.com. And I wanted to let you know once again that I do have a long-distance mental health coaching program. A lot of you have called me about that. I appreciate it. And there's a link on the screen where you can see how to learn about that. And if you want to become a subscriber, or I should say a patron of this channel, click on the Patreon image. And for as little as $2 a month, you can become a monthly contributor. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you so much for tuning in.